I agree with you, Kyle. I think they should be shown in school because it is so apt to what's going on in the world at the moment with Israel and all the unlawful, horrible things they're doing in Palestine and all these things that are going on and we're seeing. Because you're right, films do change opinions. Like I watched this and I was like, this is the best film of one of the best films I've ever seen, and I would never watch it again and I was so like hollowed out after this. You know what I mean? Hello and welcome to the CineLads Letterboxd 250 podcast. This is our second episode. Each week we go through the Letterboxd 250 list and give our ratings and opinions on the films that we're going through, working our way backwards. Last week we did Macario. This week we're doing QUO VADIS AIDA. More on that later. I'm your boy Big Sheez, aka the most brolic man in Birmingham, and I'm joined by
I can't tell you you're pointing at me or me or
it was you, it was,
Simon.
it was you, it was you.
Oh, I'm Kyle. I'm the biggest fan in Birmingham. Simon,
Thank you. That's who I am.
well, you're an Arsenal fan, so you're a disgrace to this city.
No, that's I moved to London first before I came to Birmingham, so each
You're
time.
you're a gooner. You're a gooner,
Yeah.
and you know you are.
Well, he was a Gooner.
Yeah.
He was a Gooner long before he was an Arsenal fan.
Mm,
That was just how he. That's how he just cleaned up the image for for the press. For the podcast.
yeah, that's
They
good.
don't
Good,
they don't even
good
play
PR.
football where he comes from. So they play cricket.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
Simon. I'm Simon. I'm Simon. I'm Simon.
so this week we're covering 2020's. I'm gonna try this. I'm so sorry if I butchered this, guys. We are doing Quo Vadis Ada.
Yeah.
Are we happy with how I said that?
Yeah.
So this film was directed by Jasmila Zabanik. And as we do every week, before we get into the film and our discussion of what we think about it and the official letterbox summary, we have a spinning wheel, which will pick one of us at random to give a quick 20-second breakdown of the plot of this film and what this film is about. I've already clicked the circle. Once again, we're just waiting, we're watching. Yeah, Simon,
Oh, how convenient. Uh,
I don't control the
During
wheel controls us.
UN translator, AIDA has to grapple with protecting her family and the refugees of Srebrenica during the Srebrenica
10 seconds
massacre.
left.
That's all I remember from. That's the best way I can describe the film.
To be fair, I will say, out of the ones you've done so far, and for complete context, we used to do this podcast before. We've brought it back better than ever. Simon has done this a couple of times before. This is the best he's ever done it. I will say this one specific film is the best he's ever done it. I'm gonna read the official letterbox plot breakdown. No tagline for this, as you can imagine. So it says Bosnia 1955, 1995, isn't it? Isn't it
99,
1995? Yeah, why have I
95.
got? Yeah, that's what I thought. No, sorry, Bosnia 1990. It's my own handwriting. Bosnia 1995. Ada is a translator for the UN in the small town of Srebrenica. When the Serbian army takes over the town, her family is among the thousands of citizens looking for shelter in the UN camp. As an insider to the negotiations, Ada has access to crucial information that she needs to interpret. What is on the horizon for her family and people? Refuse or death? Which move should she take?
Before the show, Simon thought it would be a good segment to try and come up with a tagline for the film. So, Simon, do you want to get us started?
No, I won't.
Kyle,
Not not
I'd love to know your
not
tagline for
given the
the.
topic.
Say it again.
I'd love to know your tagline for the film, Kyle.
It wasn't my idea. I think Simon should die on his sword.
He was pushing for it in our production meeting beforehand. He was pushing for it really heavily.
Yeah.
He was like,
I say he
guys,
had
I.
some good ones.
He was wearing a Jokic jersey as well, which I thought was really weird. That's it
Uh,
again. It's a deep cut. That's a grower, not a shower. You'll get one a week, pal. You'll get one a week. So I know we're joking about. We're trying to keep it light. Let's let's get into the sort of the context around the film a little bit as well. Of course, the title translates to "Where Are You Going, Ada" in English, which is quite a good title actually. It was nominated for Best International Feature Film at the Oscars. It lost to Another Round, but I've not seen that film. I can't really speak on whether that's good or bad. It got two BAFTA noms as well as winning four European Film Awards, including Best Film. And there's a direct sequel called Quo Vadis Ada, The Missing Part, which is coming out later this year, which is a bit of a
I
strange
would
one.
love, I would love to know where that's going.
Yeah, I don't know what the missing part would be about this film because yeah, we'll get into it and what we thought and what we liked. Let's start with you, Kyle. What did you like about this film?
Actually, I'd like to ask Simon a question first. And don't worry, this isn't me throwing you under the bus again. Have you seen this film before, Simon?
Yeah, I watched it like 2 years ago.
Yeah, because I was going to say on Letterboxd when you logged it, there was a rewatch symbol. I just wasn't sure if you actually had seen it before. Did you watch? So you watched this closer to the time of release?
Yeah, this came out 2020 and it
Yeah.
2021, 2020, 2021. Yeah,
It came
Was
out
so
was
20.
there
couple
It came
years
out 20.
after.
It came out 2020.
was there a
Yeah, a
buzz
couple years
around
after.
the film that I just seemingly missed because I hadn't heard of this film until this list?
It's a foreign film. How often do you guys,
Well, no,
Whoa,
because
whoa,
you
whoa!
I was gonna say
how
you
much do you
say
guys don't like foreign films?
well you say that, but I'm a big fan of foreign films and like we have seen a lot and like maybe because of the nature of what we are as CineLads and stuff like that, but we keep up with like the Oscars and what's nominated and things that are in conversation, right? 2020 as an Oscars, I remember I saw the title, like Best International Foreign Film, but nobody was speaking about it the same way. Like another round was talked about, like it could win Best Picture, forget Best
Yeah, because
International.
it had Viggo Mortensen, whatever his name is.
It's not Viggo
Yeah,
Mortensen. They had flipping
whatever.
Yeah, Mads
What is his name?
Mikkelsen.
Mads
Mads
Mikkelsen.
Mikkelsen.
Do
Sorry,
they all look the
sorry.
same to
Apologies.
you?
They're all from the
Kyle,
same region.
Kyle, get it back in blood.
Simon only knows him because he's in Doctor Strange.
I mean, big MCU fan Simon is.
Yeah,
Loves the
fanboy.
MCU. This guy can't stop. He's like, Kevin Feige, please remake QUO VADIS AIDA. Anyway,
Can't wait for Doomsday.
oh my God. Okay, so Kyle, what did you like about this film?
Um, the reasons I liked it was the reasons why it was hard to watch. I just thought it was it's an overused term, but I thought it was very moving. When I put it on, I was trying to find somewhere to watch, and it wasn't on any streaming services, so I had to get a free trial to was it Curzon or something? So like I've actively like gone out my way to watch it. And I was like, am I gonna like this? And like early on, there was like a rawness to it where you just couldn't look away. And I think as much as Simon's taking the mick, but I think with foreign films, I think because you have to read the subtitles, it forces you to lock in and give it like your full attention. Like at home, as much as we pretend we don't, we will check our phones every now and then. There will be distractions. With subtitles, it doesn't give you the opportunity to do that. You need to give it your undivided attention. And I just thought the performances as well. I just couldn't look away from the lead actress. I should have noted down her name. And surprisingly, there was two UN generals in the film whose like performances, like they both had mustaches. If it makes it easier to know who I'm on about,
Yeah,
there was just something about them where I was just like, I just believe you right now. And I just thought their performances were very strong, given they didn't have much material to work with. And I just thought it was just such a horrible situation, and it makes when I saw the date before the film and it said 1995, I had to rewind. It's like this is 1959, isn't it? I misread
yeah.
that because it's so alien to us. We couldn't even imagine this happening in 1995, but this stuff's happening now in other parts of the world. So I feel like it's necessary viewing. I feel like it should be shown in schools. Um, because I was thinking that as well. Do you know when you were shown historical films in school, like the Pianist and Schindler's List? I feel like films have a way of communicating to you. Like there was a quote, like you're gonna laugh now. There was a Kevin Smith film, I think it was like the 4:30 movie, where they say, "Oh, films help you understand life." And I thought what a cheesy line. I didn't really understand it at the time. And I feel like showing this to a kid is so much more. It will help them understand much more than like a textbook would. Like kids aren't paying attention in schools, but the moment a film's in front of them, undivided attention. So I feel like this should be shown in schools. I don't know if I'm, oh, don't know if I'm over evaluating it, but that's my opinion.
I don't think you're. you're overhyping it at all. If I'm being honest with you, I completely agree with everything you're saying. I, I I don't know if you guys had any understanding of this conflict beforehand. You might, Simon. I know you're a big sort of reader of like world history and stuff. I know we make fun of you because you're pretentious, but this isn't about that. This is I know you're a big reader about world history. You know about these conflicts. I knew nothing about this, so I went into it, and like Kyle said, when I read 1995, I think that's 4 years before I was born. So I'm like, my mom kind of like not even that she lived through this. She was like, grown up, this is going on. Like this is like it's recent history. It's not even been what? No, I guess it has. It's only been 30 years since this happened. Like, do you know what I mean? That's insane in the sort of grand scheme of things. What I thought was interesting, and after I watched the film, I ended up doing a bunch of like, this is how you know it's a good film as well. I ended up doing sort of a bunch of research into it of like how much of it happened, what was real, what didn't happen, what goes where, all of these sort of different things. But what blew me away was that like so the story's true. All of that happened. There was some creative license taken with it wasn't Ada, it was actually the son and the mother passed away and stuff like that. But I think that's just to get the narrative across. That general was real. He actually really looked like that. The UN general was real. He actually looked like that. The other guy, that's what they got those mustaches. They had those like very distinctive mustaches. It wasn't like it wasn't just a character. Do you know what I mean? It was like a retelling of something. And what I thought was so I don't want to compare tragedies. I don't want to do anything like that. I agree with you, Kai. I think this should be shown in school because it is so apt to what's going on in the world at the moment with Israel and all the unlawful, horrible things they're doing in Palestine and all these things that are going on and we're seeing. Because you're right, films do change opinions. Like I watched this and I was like, this is the best film of one of the best films I've ever seen, and I would never watch it again and I was so like hollowed out after this. You know what I mean? I felt so like have you guys seen The Zone of Interest? It reminded me a lot of The Zone of Interest, but I think, or as I call it, The Drone of Interest because it's just a terrible film. I think the thing with The Zone of Interest is they try to do something similar to this, where they show you the casualness of the violence, how it's just like so it's like nothing to these guys. It didn't work with me for that film, right? Because they were like, these guys are Nazis and they live next to a concentration camp and it's horrible. I get that and I do understand it, but not there was like a deep evil already to the Nazis. It wasn't gonna like make me be like, how could they just do this? The fact that it was this conflict between the Serbians and like it's something as simple as like she taught one of those kids, do you know what I mean? One of those soldiers, and they didn't even know what was going on. Nobody really knew what was going on, like in that sense of like where they're going and stuff. Maybe they did, you know what I mean? And then at the end, when you see them kind of mix back in, it's I think this achieved kind of what everyone gives all that praise to Zone of Interest for. I think this achieved it way better. The casualness of the violence, it was beautifully directed. The performances were pitch perfect. There wasn't one person that was out of touch there, and I was just like, I couldn't believe that this happened. And even like the UN's not let off the hook at all. Do you know what I mean? It's not. The film does this very good thing where it doesn't directly blame anybody, right? It doesn't directly blame any, but it lets you make up your own mind of like, this is the conflict. You know what I mean? And by rooting it within Ada's journey, I think it's genius. I'm aware that I've rambled on for quite a bit now as well. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, Simon, because it's your second time watching it, especially.
Yeah, sorry, no, nothing much to add beyond the fact that the lead performance by Janja Juricic, I think, was just absolutely commandeering, like proper box office performance. Like that was an absolute carry job, which we got into in the other half. But the way she embodied desperation, she embodied motherly love, and so on was just so engaging. And the film, I think one of the reasons why the film's so good is because it builds tension. Like Kyle said, like from the beginning, it's so kinetic, and it manages to sustain that um, hyperconnectivity throughout the entire film, and it doesn't let go, and it just keeps you engaged for the whole thing. And another aspect is how you said as well, Sharik, about how it doesn't let the UN off. It does a good job of like their performances. Those two generals who played Franken and Karaman, they embody like institutional bureaucratic incompetence so well. Where now we look back and it's revealed that Britain knew this was going to happen. The UN knew this was going to happen. The US knew this was going to happen weeks and weeks in advance, and they did nothing. All those people who were kept in that massive warehouse, they could have saved them, all of them. They could have. Nobody had to die, in Sebrenica, or at least not to the extent that it did happen. And the film does a good job of illustrating that like again incompetence so well. And also it's actually like really really gorgeous film as well.
Yeah.
Like the cinematography is gorgeous. The camera it manages to capture like desperation among the refugees, the evilness among the generals on the Serbian side, and everyone else so well. And so it's just everything just clicks so well in this film.
I, I don't think anybody felt like a caricature either, in the sense of like sometimes characters in these
Mhm.
films, and I hate to bring it back to zone of interest, but like we even like Boy in the Striped Pajamas. You know that when you kind of like you set a film within a conflict and stuff and things are going on, it's very easy to be like evil Nazi, evil. You know what I mean? Oh, almost like cartoonish villain. They all make sense within what they're doing. Uh, Even that guy who like in the UN is like that guy's a it's a man. He's dressed like a woman, and they all slap the shit out of him. Like, what are you doing? And
Starts
he's just
crying
he
immediately,
starts
doesn't he?
crying, but you also can. It's not said. I think but you can see it like he's so nervous about they're gonna kill us as well. Do you know what I mean? And fair enough. At a certain point, you see that the UN at the beginning they really do believe that we've got these airstrikes and we've got this, and it's evident to us just because of what we know about history. Even though I didn't know about this conflict, I knew they weren't gonna airstrike those men. Do you know what I mean? Because and when they were like they've all gone on holidays in July, and like you said, they all knew it was gonna happen. They've cleared their hands of it because it's in some Eastern European country like that's far away. I was in Tallinn a couple months ago, and that's very much one of these Eastern Europe places that still feels like a very like old sort of Eastern Europe. And you go through it, it's not the same. It's not like Serbia. It's not like these. I'm just saying it's one of these like Eastern Europe places, though, right? Or like the Baltic Sea and all this stuff. And it's just like it's crazy that all of this. I went to one of these museums there. Sorry, not like the reason I bring up Tallinn is I went to one of these museums there and was talking about like how a lot of annex and stuff, but it didn't go into detail about this. And I found out afterwards when I researched about the film that like even the mayor of sorry, did I just disappear for a second?
You're still there now.
Okay, sick. Sorry, I think someone called me and pulled me out of the
Yeah.
thing. I found out that even the mayor of Sebrenica now, I know I keep saying it wrong. He doesn't even acknowledge that there was a genocide. He doesn't even acknowledge that anything actually did happen at any point, which is nuts to me. Kyle, I know you had something you want to say about this, about Simon's points.
Oh no, I was just going to follow up on the visuals because it's not something I used to put much thought into until I watched I think, what was the documentary called? Is it like Out of Sight or something where it compared film to digital? And it only dawned on me, like obviously people always bring up the cement look with like blockbusters like Wicked and all the Marvel movies. But me and Sharek went to watch Rental Family the other day, and people were saying how beautiful it looked, and I thought it was shot well. But I just thought the color grading was like horrible. Like I just thought like it just looked very flat. And I was watching this, it looked to me like it was shot on digital. I could be wrong, but the colors popped, which was such like a
Yeah.
an interesting choice for such a bleak film. But I'm glad Simon brought that up.
I just want to say as well, because I know we haven't said the word specifically, but I think it's important for us as a podcast to take a stand on things like this, and as a group, you know what I mean? But this was a genocide that was carried out, you know what I mean? And it was horrific. And I think it is something that should, again, be shown in schools. And I think it's something that people should be made aware of, especially as it links to the stuff that's going on in this modern day. And it's straight up it's an atrocity. And I'm glad I watched this film. I know we always talk about what we didn't like and the negatives as well. I liked everything about this. I thought one of the best things it did. It's not even 2 hours, you know what I mean? But I've not seen a film in a long time that's like this length that sticks with you. Like we spoke about Macario in the last episode, and like as much as I enjoyed Macario, I won't really think about it that much. You are right, like it's whatever. This is like something that will stick with me. I'll probably never watch it again just because of how like hard I found it to watch. But like it's something that will kind of always stick with me. And I don't know about you guys. Is there anything you guys didn't like about the film? I loved everything about it. Truly, obviously not that I didn't love the genocide. I'm not a fan of the genocide, but you know what I mean.
I had a few negatives, but do you want to start, Simon?
Not that I could think of like as like a specific point other than like it doesn't like I just don't feel like it's more than what rating I'm gonna give it later. So back to you.
Can I guess
Um,
one of your negatives, Kyle?
go on.
You're in England, speak English. No, I'm sorry, because dumb joke, dumb joke. They weren't even in England. Go ahead.
Um, there was okay. So no, I have two negatives. So one was there was like an awkward cut for a. Do you know before the flashback scene
Mm.
when they're at like a
I
party?
loved the flashback scene, by the way.
So that didn't work for me. But just before it, there's like the couple in front of her just start kissing, and the cut was just so awkward. And I think it's so noticeable because of how perfect, like on a technical aspect, the rest of the film is. It's like it shows them talking, it cuts away, and then it cuts back, and they're kissing already. And I was like, is she tripping? Like I couldn't make out. That was just it's a nitpick, but like it was just noticeable because of how good the rest of the film was. I also there's so p- part of this is a positive, but I feel like as someone like we all could tell where it was heading, and I feel like for the last act, it's sort of like just sort of going around in circles. But I feel like that does add to the desperation of it all. Like just this mother's doing anything she possibly can to try and prevent the inevitable. But I feel like because we all knew there was an inevitable, it's sort of like, okay, like we know where this is going. And it just the last act just sort of like it was teetering out a bit for me before it gets to the moment. I feel like mate, like you were saying, it was like short, and I commend it for being only an hour 40. I feel like trimming off 5 more minutes could have been perfect. But that,
I
like I said, it's just nitpicks.
No, and of course, and I appreciate you, obviously, as my fellow CineLad, giving your nitpicks. I just got to push back a little bit on both of the nitpicks, if that's okay, just from my perspective. I agree with the editing one, it made sense to me because I think she had smoked. So it even says to her, it's clearly not a cigarette he hands to her, it's a joint. So I kind of did just in my mind was
Yeah.
like she was a bit high, and that's even why she was thinking about that flashback specifically. And then you see all the people's faces in the thing, and it's done in a way where you'll see them again later. Do you know what I mean? So it is interesting as far as that goes. And the ending, see, here's the thing about the ending, and here's where I thought it really worked. Because you're emotionally invested at that point in Ada's journey so much that yeah, we all knew that where it was gonna go, but you were desperately hoping and wishing that like, okay, she goes to see them to get the ID cards made. You can get the ID cards, you know what I mean? She hides him in the thing. There was a bit when they walked in that in that like the bit they were hiding that machinery bit and they walk into the darkness. Like we've seen enough films to know that like, oh, we're not gonna see them again. I was genuinely surprised when she pulled them out. I thought they were gonna get killed on screen. I was genuinely surprised when we pulled them out and they went there. And it was even more heartbreaking in that way, you know what I mean? And then even when that soldier's holding her, like, teacher, you can't be out here. They're gonna put you on the bus. You gotta go back into the base. And you're like, it was just tough, man. It was a tough watch. Is there anything that you want to say, Simon, before we go to the ratings?
No, we can move on. It's a very heavy film. You can feel the atmosphere in this recording as well. So let's go into the best part of the podcast, our own version of the top 50. So, Sharik, what would you give this out of five?
So it's a film I'd probably never watch again, but one that I don't think will ever leave me. It's truly quite a haunting and beautiful film. I gotta give it a five. I think anything less than a five is just wouldn't be apt for how I feel and the impact it had on me. So yeah, I gotta give it a five.
Kyle?
Kyle?
I will go with a 4. Like I said, I didn't think it was perfect. I had like a few nitpicks. Um, and I think for me, this is a problem with me. This isn't a problem with the film. I feel like rewatchability is a big part of my ratings. If you go through my letterbox, any film that I've given a 5 star, I probably could rewatch like till the cows come home. This, I would like you, Sharik said, I will never rewatch again, but it has left a mark on me. I did a bit of research myself, and like you said, it was nominated for Best International, and I feel like it deserved its nomination. A very powerful film. That funny enough, I wouldn't rewatch it, but I bet if I did, my rating would go up. So 4 for me.
Nice. And to actually piggyback off that point, when I initially watched it, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I did on this rewatch. I think I gave it like 3.5. But this time around, I don't know what it is. Maybe there's like external bias because of the last 2 years or whatever it is. Or actually, or maybe it's because I found out more about the actual event, about the context, about how everyone knew it was going to happen, and they still let it happen, and that kind of might have influenced my perception this time. So I would give it a 4 this time in this rewatch. And together, putting all those scores together, this film, can I put this at number one, and then we can just adjust them later on in it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
Are we in
this we could
agreement
just
this
go,
is
yeah,
better
clearly, because
than?
5, 4, and 4. This is better than Macario,
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
100%.
at 250. So this is at number one.
And to finish it off, this is the part of the show where we will nominate one film each week. Doesn't have to be our favorite film. It could just be something we watched that week that we liked, a hidden gem, something we just think is a bit underrated, or just something we want to share with you guys. And we'll put it into our own 250 list. And then at the end of the show, if we make it to 250 episodes, hopefully, we can compare the official list to our list. So last week, Sharik nominated Creed, was it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this week, Simon, is there a film that you want to nominate?
It's not a joke. Like I think we all like this film, and I think we like the collection of these films, and it's High School Musical 3.
Oh,
Pure,
banger.
purely because one, it's very underrated. Everyone says that number two is the best. I don't know about that, but it's good. No, I think all three are great. But it's because I picked this because recently my entire TikTok feed has been filled with High School Musical edits, and that's why High School Musical 3 is my pick for this week.
When was the last time you watched High School Musical 3? Has it been a while?
Ages ago, yeah. But it's so embedded. I watched it so much. I even loved the film so much. I had High School Musical backpacks. I had books. Did you remember these
Yeah, they used to do the
Scholastic?
fake,
That
the fake like stories that you read and they're like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
used to have those. Yeah, the green one with Corbin Blue and his girlfriend. I forgot her name. Sorry, and another one as well. So yeah,
uh, not Mackenzie. Mackenzie was the girl with the common hat. That was Mackenzie,
yeah,
wasn't
she
it?
was the piano classes.
Um,
Taylor.
I
I forgot. I don't know, man. I forgot her name.
The
Sorry,
real,
I
I
I
think
didn't
the
give them
the
much,
actress's name is
unfortunately.
Monique.
Yeah, and aren't they married in real life as well?
Nah, I think you just projected. Kobe Blue's like you. He likes the
No, no.
milk. Anyway,
I haven't seen High School Musical 3 since it was released, and wasn't it a theatrical release as well?
it was a theatrical
Yeah.
release. I went to the cinemas to watch it. I remember.
I remember going to the cinema to watch it, but I feel like I got to that age where I had to pretend I wasn't into it. Like High School Musical 1 and 2 was like obviously on Disney Channel, so I could watch it in the comfort of my own home. But I think it was like might be my sister's birthday or something. We went to watch it, and I was like, oh, that was awful. And I haven't rewatched it, so I would like to give it another shot.
It, High School Musical 3 is a great film. I don't know if I agree with Simon saying it's the best of the franchise because two is very good. One is the worst for sure, but it's between two and three. I will say three's got some great songs as well. I don't think you can talk about High School Musical without talk about the songs. Scream
Very,
is great, and
very, very.
Nolan stole that for Inception from Scream. Let's be completely honest. The rotating room, and then what else? Three has "Can I Have This Dance?" That's a great one. And it's got that classic. It's that it starts with that first like we've got that cinema money, and they got that basketball game, and it's all lit up, and then she goes Troy. She runs up
Ah, what's
and say, "Whoa!"
what's that
It's
song
just
called? Is
actually,
what's that song
As
called? Is it like something minutes or
uh,
something? Like 3 minutes.
well,
I
Now
the
or
the
never.
Justin
Now or
Timberlake.
never.
nah,
Oh,
no, no.
I thought it was like 2 minutes then. The Madonna song.
Oh my God. Oh, shout out my birthday twin Madonna. You know what? I love High School Musical 3. I don't know if I'm willing to put it above Creed. I
No,
think I'm gonna
no
go. I'm
arguments
gonna go. I'm
here.
gonna go. I'll go second place, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Simon,
I
would
So
think
you would you would you argue to put it above Creed?
no, no.
So you're
Creed,
not even
Creed's
gonna
still a great film.
you're not even gonna
Seriously, I'm
fight
not
to
gonna
put it
fight for
above
it
your.
now. No, because it's still in the top 50, 250, so it's not a big deal.
so
Yeah,
how does
At
our
least for
list
now.
rank? How does our list
Sorry.
compare to the official 250 at the moment? If you had to
Uh,
keep two films, which two are you keeping?
can it be
Creed
one from
and
one and
QUO
one from the
VADIS
other?
AIDA. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
yeah, no
same. Yeah.
argument, no arguments here.
So thank you guys so much for joining us for the episode. Next week, our film is going to be The King of Comedy, the Martin Scorsese classic. We'll see you then. We'll see you then for the episode. We'll get better. I think we'll get better at these endings as it goes. Bye.